Hi everyone, I'm building a drawer box for under my lathe, and I'm making the entire thing out of scrap wood. I haven't spent any money on wood, and I don't plan to. But I wanted to show off some progress. The entire frame here, all of these spindly pieces are made out of alder, scrap alder, which I got from the remnants of a sign maker. He gave me literally a pickup truck full. I went with my pickup truck and we filled it to teeming, and I drove home and sorted it all. And that's what that's made out of, so that's free. I've inlaid 3/16 inch hardboard panels that are flush with the outside edge inlaid into recesses outside of the panels, or outside of the frame. The drawers are made to fit with no real movement for the side, with no real space on the side. It's about 1/8 of an inch or so that it won't bind, but you know, if you make drawers that you usually leave a 1/2 inch for your drawer runners on the sides. But I'm going with an undermount system, so I gave myself more drawers so I could fit more stuff because it's already a pretty small space. The drawers themselves are made out of 1/2 inch plywood. The sides and back are Baltic birch. The front is just cheap construction grade stuff. This is because I'm using scrap and I'm just using what I have on hand. And I wanted to make both drawers identical, so I had to use two nice long lengths on the sides and then a short length on the back because I didn't have any more with the grain running along the length, but I actually kind of like the look of it when you pull the drawer out. This vertical grain doesn't bother me. The front will be covered by a walnut faceplate, drawer front, so you won't see it, so that's why I put that at the front. To put these drawers in, I've got two of them that are fairly identical. I've got more scrap here, scrap poplar. I wish I had some really good scrap hardwood, and I guess I kind of do, but I didn't want to use it. But I made drawer slides for undermounting here. These are 1 inch thick, but, and I should say first, I have 7/8 of an inch clearance between the drawer and the frame vertically, but these sliding dovetails are rabbited front and back, or front and back, such that the center section here is 10 inches, which is the distance between the face frames. So I can put that 1/16 inch on the front, just enough to hold it there, drop the back in, and then it's retained because it's 10 inches and just fits inside. That also drops it down 1/4 of an inch, which gives my drawer enough room to slide in with some, I think it's about 1/8 of an inch clearance. The dovetails, show you how they work. Sliding parallel double dovetail system. Built two of them. One for each drawer. Scrap poplar, all different colors. This, fairly simply, is a bottom piece that was 3/4 of an inch cut with 3 pins. A top piece that was 1/2 inch cut with 2 center pins and 2 half pins on the sides, and then the center piece that was cut to fit in between them. I actually started with that one first and then walked these recesses that are wider enough. All I did was cut pins in the middle piece and on the outer edges, and then I cut the recesses, like in the bottom piece here, I cut this 3/4 inch wide recess until it fit, and I was just careful. I used the Incra LS Positioner Super System, which I love, and it made this whole thing a breeze. I just clicked things into place and it went great. Highly recommend it if you can afford it. I no longer can, but one day I could, and now I have it forever. So these just slide out like that. The only thing I had to worry about at that point was how do I keep them from pulling apart. This is not my invention. People do these, fine woodworkers do these a lot, and I've been kind of envious of, I wanted to build one myself. So I just kind of designed my own though in Google SketchUp, and then went from memory from what I had designed the night before while I was out here in the garage all day. So it's sort of seat of the pants. I just sort of built it as I went, and I'm surprised it worked out. But that said, you can forgive the peg system a little bit, I hope. I think what they normally do is they route grooves on the centerpiece, and then they can hammer a peg through the outer pieces, top and bottom, to retain it to the pegs. I did it the other way, and I don't know if it's a valid way or not, but it seems to be working. It was just really difficult and not very pretty. I routed 2 grooves on the top piece here, on the top of the dovetails underneath, from middle to back roughly, and 1 here from middle to front on the bottom piece. And then the pegs are in the center piece there and there that go into those grooves. So these pegs riding in these grooves, and this peg, which is in the same piece that the other 2 pegs are in, is riding in this groove on the opposite piece. Grooves here and here. And they work. Click, 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 click. To get the hole for the peg lined up perfectly, I had stops on my router fence that I would put this and drop it on and slide it between the stops. That gave me an exact position for where the end piece was, for where the end of that was, so I just took the center piece here, turned off the router, lowered the bit, slid it up against the stop, and then turned it on and raised the bit up. And it went right through, and when you lined these up, when I shut these before I had the pegs in the way, you could see that those ends were exactly the same because the stop was in the exact same place. And I flipped it over and did the same for the other side too, for these 2. So that worked great. That was a nice technique. So these were, the space between the face frames is 10 inch, so I made these 10.5 inch and cut those rabbets so that there would be a 10 inch space in between that could drop in between them. I think I already said that, but also of note, these face frames are a little thicker than 3/4 of an inch, which was good because the walnut that I'm using for the drawer fronts, with this all flushed up, this is basically where the drawer will be when it shuts. My 3/4 inch walnut actually goes in with a little bit of a recess, and I'll actually fiddle with that and get it so that it's not recessed, that it's nice and flush. And this little space on the top, of course, will be taken out. It'll be floating center, so it'll be nice. There's a very little clearance around the edges. And the reason I'm making them recessed and not like a regular drawer where it sticks out over the front and it has a decorative edge to it is because this is a lathe. This is going to be under the A-frame, right up against the A-frame legs will be on the side, and all the crap from the lathe is going to be falling down here all the time, and I don't want it sitting on top of the drawer so that when I open the drawer it all falls in. So, and I've always had a thing for inset drawers like that. Also scrap, I have these handles that have been sitting around in my closet not doing anything. I don't even remember when or why I bought them, but they look very nice. And so I don't have to buy drawer handles now because I have 2 identical ones, and they're going to go on the drawer fronts, and they look really good. The walnut was chosen in part because I just had to do something a little bit decorative after all of this scrap wood use, and the walnut kind of goes with the outer color of the hardboard, which is sort of similar. It's not exactly the same brown, and I'm not going to try to make it the same brown, but it looks close enough. It at least gives the dark on light coloring. These 2 pieces, which are the 2 drawer fronts, are cut from the same piece. I would normally love a knot like that, but I'm hiding it because once you put the pull on the front it becomes too much clutter. But these are cut out of the same piece such that the grain will flow across right there. I think that's all that I wanted to say about this, but oh, and then the final thing was how to mount these slides. I believe what I'm going to do is on the bottom piece at the back I'm going to countersink 2 holes, drop it onto the rabbet onto the face frame on the back, and just drive some screws. For the front, I think this little hook of a rabbet I'm going to glue and just have that glue sit on there, and if it needs more structural support I'll put a block underneath behind the face frame up against it and just glue it to both, and that'll be more than enough. For the top, the drawer, when seated flush to the front, has about 1/2 of an inch more space at the back. So what I think I'm going to do, this is just for now until I think of something better, I think I'm going to glue a block on the back here with some pegs in it sticking out, and then I'm going to drill 2 little holes that don't go all the way through, flat bottom holes, and then this will be able to push on right up against those pegs, drop down, and then I will be able to have some countersunk screws here, screw holes that go right up into the bottom of the front of the drawer. That's my working theory. We'll see how it all pans out, but I want to get this done in the next day or 2 and put it all in and use it. So thanks for watching. This was like the 6th take. I finally got it under 10 minutes. Go me.